Hey there. Welcome yet again to the veritable edge of Western civilization, Venice Beach, California. And I am your host, David Alexander English, live and in person. And today is Monday, Moon Day, July 6th, 2015. It's overcast and but perfect in every way, shape, and form. So I haven't done a show in a little while. This is show number 188, and I just my dad died on June 16th, and I found out about it on the 18th, which I think was the last time I did the show. And then, in typical dad fashion, weird things ensued. So my dad told me, he was 86 years old, and actually, the day after tomorrow, it would have been his 87th birthday. And he told me, when I talked to him last Thanksgiving, he was like, no, because he wasn't really expecting to make it through the winter. And his wife is like 2 years younger than him, and she has Alzheimer's, and they were in the same nursing home at the end there. She's still there. Yeah, he wasn't expecting to make it through the winter. So he told me, that he had everything arranged, and that he was going to be buried at the National Cemetery on Cape Cod, where I'm from. And he said that he wasn't going to. He didn't want anybody making any grand gestures. In fact, I think he told me that there wasn't going to be a service or anything like that. They were just going to stick him in the ground, and that was going to be that, right? Well, so I found out on he died on a Tuesday. I found out on Thursday when my sister called me, because she was calling the nursing home to see what the deal was, how he was doing, and because we hadn't heard anything, and and I tried to call, and neither one of us has gotten through for a bit. So she called me, and she told me that he'd been transferred to the VA's hospital, and we were trying to get a hold of the VA hospital, and it turns out I have a half brother. I didn't know I had a half brother, but now I found out I have a half brother. So I think I kind of vaguely knew that there was a half brother, but not biological. It's just my dad married his mother, and he's 4 years older than me. His name's Ronnie Harris, and he's a wonderful human being. Lives in North Carolina, and anyway, Ronnie was kind of taking point on connecting with them, or at least he was the first person that found out what the deal was, and so my sister called when she wasn't able to get through. She called Ronnie, and he's he told us what the dad had passed, and so that day my sister, if she hung up with me, she actually wrote something. She posted it on Facebook. So that would have been the 18th. And I read what she wrote, and it really, I felt was wonderful. Because, their relationship had been estranged for quite a while, up until recently, up until maybe 2 years ago. And they hadn't seen one another in 25 years until 2 years ago. And then the last time they spoke was my dad actually apologized because we had been trying to find out where he was, find out, because we had, I hadn't been trying to reach him for months, and his phone wasn't taking any more messages and all this sort of stuff. So, okay, I'll tell this story. I was doing this Akashic record meditation, and in this Akashic record meditation, I asked the universe, what does the universe want me to know most? And the universe said, call your dad. So I immediately came out of the meditation and picked up the phone and called my dad, and wasn't able to get through. And I just couldn't leave it there. After all these months of trying to, be respectful of whatever's going on in his universe, finally I got a hold of my nephew, who lives a couple of towns over in Massachusetts, lives in Waltham. My dad lived on the border of Brockton and Abingdon, about 30 miles from the ocean. And my nephew went to my dad's house and saw that his car and his RV were in the driveway and the light was on inside, but he couldn't, so he left a message. There was no answer. At the door, so he left a message, and he went back the next morning to see if anybody had taken the message, and nobody had taken it, and then he went to the neighbor, and the neighbor told him that Dad had been in the hospital. So he found it was the nursing home, and he went to the nursing home and hung out with Dad for a bit, and found out what the deal was, and put my sister on the phone with Dad. And that's when Dad apologized for not, sort of keeping her in the loop, because he had apparently, this was about 2 months ago, so this was sometime in May or April, I think, the end of April, and he had been taken to the hospital in an ambulance on February 1st, and apparently, and we'd never heard about anything about it, but Ronnie had, they told him, you got 2 weeks, you should get up here because he's not looking good. And he went up and he spent a week with Dad, and Dad was out of the hospital and he was living in the house and everything, but eventually ended up back, a couple of days after Ronnie left the Cape, ended up back in the hospital again. He had pneumonia, which I guess for really old people is hard to kick. And hey, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Where's your piece? Oh, right here.
All right.
Here we go.
Wow. Sorry.
Yeah. Elite.
Yeah, this is good for the person giving it to.
So you caught me doing my show.
Your show?
I do a live stream on YouTube.
So you're streaming right now?
I am indeed.
All right.
Yeah, I was able to get prints made last week when I got back. I just came from the East Coast, attending to my dad's funeral and whatnot. And I had a little money coming when I got back, so I used that to go and get your stuff made. 7, 6, 2, 0.
This is great.
And that'll be 40. Yeah, I'm glad it finally works. out.
Me too.
I'm sorry it took so long, but this is kind of lean on the boardwalk.
It'll be a surprise to her. She's forgotten all about it.
There you go.
Thanks, man. I'll see you around. Take care.
Yes. Yay! Hi there. Back.
How much for the prints up front?
If it's in the frame, the size is 20 and the larger size is 40. And then out of the frame, they're 15 and 10, or 215 and 220. And I hand paint all the frames myself as well, and they're real glass. You're welcome to step a little closer if you need to. Yeah.
Thank you.
My new brush.
Are you a burner too?
Yep.
Nice. You going this year?
We'll see,
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get the Oh My God sale.
right? There's only like 1,000 tickets,
I
right?
know.
That's ridiculous.
Now it sucks. Signed up for Step and everything. It's nothing.
Craigslist,
Yeah, huh?
right?
Yeah. When it gets close enough, I'm gonna give it a go.
Right?
Yeah, I gotta go again. I think I might take this one here.
Right? Flower of Life.
Yeah.
I painted these frames last week.
Awesome.
That'll be 20 cash.
Cool. There you are.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Mr. Jackson. What made you ask about the burner thing?
Just all the Sacred Geo. That's where I learned about it.
Let's see.
Saw some people drawing it there, just out of curiosity.
Right? Yeah, I've painted there before.
Awesome.
In the center camp.
Yeah. How many years have you gone? What years have you gone?
This would be, I think this is 13
Savage.
in a row.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So if I don't make it, you know, I'm not hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big part of life. You know, like when it happens, it needs a lot of time and energy.
It's been a summer for missing my usual things. I
Yeah.
didn't make it to the gathering this year either. And for the first time in 24 years. So,
Oh Lord. Yeah. That's a lot different.
yeah, but I don't know. I had a pretty amazing heads up about it. About a month and a half ago, I had this whole thing come to me that I made, you know, to prepare myself for not making it to the gathering. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And so I did. I started to prepare myself, and then my dad died, and you know, I just wasn't in the frame of mind to go there and everything. So yeah, and it just feels like, you know, if after 24 years I was ever going to miss a gathering, now would be a good time to do that.
Yeah. That's real.
You know,
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
enjoy
right on.
the piece.
Yeah, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for
I definitely
supporting the
appreciate
work.
it wholeheartedly.
Appreciate it. Hope you make it to the playa.
Yeah, I hope to see you out there.
Yeah, why not?
Cool.
What the heck?
Right on.
I'll be painting in center camp.
My name's Walter.
David.
David.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah. So, what was I saying? I was trying to give the whole story. Make a long story short, I woke up on the day after my sister told me, and she posted her thing, and I was really inspired by what she wrote. So that would have been the 19th, Friday the 19th. And as soon as my feet hit the ground, something said, you need to write something. And I was a little disturbed at the fact that not more people responded to what my sister wrote. And at that time, you know, I thought that I wasn't going anywhere, that I was going to be here, or I was going to be trying to make it to the Rainbow Gathering or whatever. And what ended up happening is I just felt like I had to mark his passage with something. I had to write, because what my sister wrote was an honest assessment of what her experience was being my dad's child, you know. And now that he was gone, you know, and I felt like I should probably do something very similar, you know. And so I started writing it in my head, and when I got out here, after I got all set up, I sat down and I started writing, and I didn't have a customer all day long, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and finally I was finished right as the sun went behind the mountains over there. And you know, I know it's always good to, you know, post stuff if you're going to post it with a photograph, so I just took a picture of the sky at that moment, and it was right as the new moon was conjunct Jupiter and Venus, and so I posted it, and I, you know, didn't think anything of it, and loads of people, you know, responded, and I didn't want all those people saying, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss," and all this nonsense. I know it's what you say, and I didn't want to hear it, you know, because I've seen people do that stuff, and it just can be kind of annoying, you know, because it's people kind of say it in a way that seems very I don't know, dispassionate, when there isn't anything more passionate than, you know, when you're dealing with your emotions about the death of somebody that you know. So anyway, I put something about that in there. I don't know. Basically, I didn't want to hear people say they're sorry, because I wasn't sorry. You know, I mean, he was 86, and he lived a big life, lived a full life, an intense life. You know, people think that I'm intense, and I know I'm intense, but I got nothing with it, because if you look in the dictionary, his picture is there under intensity. So, what ended up happening is the next day, my father had he had five other siblings, and the last surviving one, his name's Uncle Fred, and he lives in North Carolina. He lives right next to my dad's mother's house. My grandmother passed in 1999 at the age of 98. Yeah, and so I got that working for me, and so his wife Daisy, my aunt Daisy, I haven't seen either one of them since I was 7 or 8 years old. So I haven't seen them in 50 years. And Daisy was following her intuition, and she was like trying to reach the hospital, the nursing home, and they told her to call to get a hold of his son, Dad's son, and she thought that meant me, but apparently, you know, they would think they were talking about Ronnie. But anyway, she didn't know how to get a hold of me, so she has a youngest daughter named Shanita. Okay, and I never knew there was such a person as Shanita, English, and Shanita is a web wizard, you know, and she gets online and she finds me on Facebook through Google and all that. And the first thing that she sees is this whole thing that I wrote the previous day about Dad dying, and that's how they found out. She let her mother know, and then her mother contacted me, and so we're emailing and stuff, and they wanted to know when the services were, and I told them I didn't think there were services, and but I got the number of Ronnie from my sister and forwarded that to them, and I was a little busy, you know, caught up in my own little universe over here, you know, working on the boardwalk and whatnot, but I determined that I was in the middle of actually publishing the Absolute Truth book, which is now published. You know, the Absolute Truth book is now available on Amazon and on my, you know, via, you know, it's on. You can actually download a free ebook version of it if you go to my Facebook page and scroll down to. I think what day was that? I don't know. It's probably about. Where are we? Today's Monday. I don't know, a week ago or so, I posted the links to the paper copy that is all 200 pages, and I did a book 1 and book 2 of 100 pages each, and the ebook version. So you can download the ebook version for free, or you can buy the books, the paper copies for. There's like a 50% discount launch for the launch promotion that I did. So so there's that. So I was involved in, in the middle of all this. I'm right at the point of publishing this book that I've been working on since I think March 28th is when I started writing it. And so Sunday morning, I decided I wasn't going to work on the boardwalk that day. I was going to just take the day off. I decided that, but then I came out anyway, and there weren't any spaces. So I was like, good. At least I know I'm not missing anything, you know? So I went to the internet cafe, and I started working it, and then, I don't know, something said I should call Ronnie just to see how he's doing, you know? So I called him up and introduced myself, you know? Because I've never met him. We've never talked, you know? And he answers the phone and he says, yeah, we just got up here to Massachusetts. I said, really? What for? He said, for the service. I said, what service? He said, well, there's a viewing tomorrow, which is Monday, and from 2 to 4 at this funeral home, and then this graveside service on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I was like, really? Dad told me there wasn't going to be any services. He says, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's what's going on. That's what we're here for. I was like, okay, well, yeah, I think he told me that because he didn't want me to make any grand gestures and try to, make it cross country for this. But he said, let me put it to you this way, Ronnie. If the universe wants me there, I'm going to be standing next to you on Tuesday. And we hung up. And right then, this really good friend of mine walked up to me And she's like, I told her what was going on. I was like, I just talked to my new half brother, and you know, and he tells me that my dad is having a funeral service on Tuesday, and you know, I don't have a pot to pee in the window to throw it out of, but I'm going to try to make it there. And she says, well, I can help you with that. I was like, really? A couple of hours later, I booked a flight. Next morning, I booked a car, very expensive car. For me, anyway. I mean, it was like $200 for one day, you know? And it was a one-way flight. I didn't know how I was getting back or anything like that, but I just knew that I had to try to, you know, be there. That's the guidance I was getting, clear as a bell. And like I said, if the universe wants you someplace, it's going to make a way. And the fact that somebody was right there as I'm getting off the phone, willing to, you know, put up some money so I could get there, it's like, you know, you can't argue with that, right? So I go ahead and I get on my pony and I fly to Logan, Boston, and pick up the car, and on the way, you know, I just decided that I was gonna, whoever I interacted with, I was gonna tell them why I was traveling, you know. So I told the bus driver, I told the ticket agent, because when I got to the airport, I was like 15 minutes before the plane was supposed to take off. I get up to the, not even to the gate, just to the ticket agent. And there's nobody there but her and me. And no line or anything, because everybody's already through. And she just starts processing my thing. And I said, do you think I'm going to make this flight? And she says, oh, yeah, the plane is like 40 minutes late. I'm like, yes. The best news I've heard all day is the plane's going to be late. So I go ahead and I told her, I shook her hand and I thanked her. And I told her why I was traveling. And I don't know, it's something just, for me, it was partly more of the making sure that this moment is marked, you know, I guess for me and my dad, you know, because it's so easy just to let things, you know, life goes on. Life goes on. If I hadn't gone, I would have just, you know, I'd still be here doing what I'm doing and be like just another, oh, somebody died. Oh, yeah. Somebody, you know. So I didn't want that. So I went ahead and made it there. And when I got there, oh, my nephew lives in Waltham, and he hey there, he wasn't in town, but he let me use his apartment in Waltham. So I drove there, and I you know, spent the night there. He left the key for me in the mailbox, and which was really great because the plane didn't get in till midnight, and then it took another hour to get to where he was. So I was pretty toasty, but I got a good night's sleep, and I knew you know, it was only an hour and a half to the Cape, so I had plenty of time. And I drove down, and I drove right to the let me back up a little bit. There's this crazy thing that happened. I'm just using this show to like purge the whole story, so I don't have to get into it ever again, hopefully. So I had one of the weirdest moments of my life, okay? And I think of many other people's lives as well. So the plane, I took this airline to Minneapolis, and then, you know, connecting flight from Minneapolis to Logan, right? And when you get, you know how as soon as the plane lands, you check your, you turn on your phone, to see if he got any messages. And there was like an hour layover, so I knew, you know, there was some stuff I wanted to check on and whatnot. So I turn on the phone, and the first thing, there's a text. Text? No. There's a voicemail, and it's from Shanita. And I'm listening to the voicemail, and because you know, I have the phone on and everything, the text comes from Shanita, and it is, I wasn't sure it was from her, but it's a photograph. And this is on the Monday of the viewing, right? And it's a photograph of my dad in the coffin. And I was like, I didn't need to see that. I didn't need to see that, you know. And I just said it out loud, you know. I was kind of a little freaked and frazzled because I had spent a lot of effort and energy to make sure that I wasn't there to see that. And here it was, right in my face, you know. So on the way to the Cape the next day, I think I called Shanita to let her, you know, just to call her and call her back and whatnot. And we talked about it. And I told her, we laughed about it, but I was in no uncertain terms how uncool that was. You know, it's like, if you're going to send somebody a picture of their dead father in a coffin, you might want to give them a little heads up. Just, you know, so if you ever get an inclination to send somebody a picture of a dead person, you might want to like, you know, say, hey, you know, I'm about to send you a picture of a dead person that you may know very well. And so if you don't want me to send it, you should, like, tell me, right? Before you just like, bam, there it is, dead, dad, box. Just saying. Nice picture though. Didn't look like him at all. And I didn't look at the picture until like 2 days ago, because I finally looked at it because I didn't want to have to not look at it. This thing in my phone, you know, that I haven't looked at. And whoever did the embalming and all that sort of stuff, they did a great job. He looks really good in the suit that he chose and all this sort of stuff. But they didn't know my dad, and it doesn't look like him at all. So it's all good. It's not him anyway. So yeah, I drove down to the Cape, went to so this national cemetery is on the former Otis Air Force Base that my dad was stationed at, and that I lived out, you know, just outside of it. I don't know, about maybe 5 miles outside of the air base is where I grew up, and you know, where our family home was on 94 Minas Road in East Valley. Hello. Good. Hi there. So what ends up happening is this national cemetery it's in a part of what was the air base. The air base is now contracted so that this part isn't, you know, like they used to have to like pass security and all this stuff. You don't have to do that anymore. But you know, I don't know, for 20 years of my life, going to the air base was like a part of my life, you know, and driving around on the air base, it was always a big deal. You know, you were like on a freaking air base with like security and, you know, so I kind of knew it all by the back of my hand, but I haven't been there in what, 30 some odd years, you know, and in the interim, they created this national cemetery, right? And which wasn't there. And how they did it is they just kind of mowed down these forests, these patches of forest that wherever it was flat, they made flat areas so they could bury people. And so I drove up in there and found out what the deal was, what the, you know, what the services were and everything like that. Now, if you've ever been to a national cemetery, the way it works is You notice how all the graves are like one right next to the other. You know, because there's almost no space between them and everything like that. And the way they do it there is when the funeral thing comes along, you have, you know, when everybody, the whole funeral procession, you know, like shows up. There's no, you don't have a graveside service, you know, because it's not enough room for everybody, and they're burying people like one right next to the other. You know what I mean? So the same day, I happened to drive over to where the site was, and I saw them bury somebody right next to because they have a whole trench, right? And so they put somebody there, then they'll put Dad, and then they'll put the next person, and you know, and when it's all done, then they'll close up that trench, you know. So they have a place where they have the service, you know, and so I went and I looked and I watched them, you know, bury this other guy, and then, you know, got a feel for what the site was like and everything, and it was cool. And I drove back up, and right then everybody, the funeral procession had showed up, and you know, this place has a, you know, it's a military thing, so it's got it all down to the minute. Works like clockwork and everything. Yeah, at what is that? 13:15, we'll all meet at blah blah blah. You know, whatever. So, and there's my Uncle Fred, my aunt Daisy, and my Ronnie and his son Chris, who my dad is just so proud of, because Chris is one of the people that guards the Secretary of Defense. You know, goes around the country with him and everything. You know, around the world actually. And so anyway, and I meet Chris's brother. He's got a younger brother. And I meet my father's older brother's namesake. His older brother is Edward Jr., and this is Edward III. My cousin Skippy. I didn't know I had a cousin Skippy. You know, I never met him, but there he is, he and his wife. And so we all go over to the thing, and at 13:15, right? We go over there, and there's this little alcove thing, you know, the roof, and there's these two Air Force non-coms standing at attention in dress blues, and they're saluting and whatnot, and my dad's coffin is there, covered in the what do you call it? The Stars and Stripes, American flag, right? And the chaplain says a few words, and then these guys fold up the flag as the taps gets played on the what do you call it? I don't know. It's a tape. They got a tape with taps, you know, and then they fold it up, and they give the flag to Ronnie. my uncle says, "Hey, this is his blood son. This is his real son." And the chaplain just about lost it. He was so embarrassed because because they made the focus, you know, what they thought was his direct next of kin, and instead of like me, you know. Anyway, everybody was really glad I was there, because I kind of, you know, I look like my dad, except I have dreadlocks, you know, and I'm not as intense as him. Anyway, so I invited everybody to go to the beach. I went to the beach afterwards. They all went. Some of them went up to see Elizabeth, and she, you know, she's pretty deep into the Alzheimer's at this point, and somebody at the nursing home had told her what was up, and she freaked out, and she was trying to find my dad, and it wasn't good. So, and then everybody met at Skippy's place in Weymouth for dinner, and I went up there, and we all talked about some genealogy and whatnot, and then, you know, then I took the car back, and the next day I caught a bus from the airport down. I spent the whole night working at the airport, because the trains left and there was no place for me to go. So I spent the night in the airport trying to finish the publishing of the book. And then in the morning, I caught a bus back to the Cape and back to Woods Hole, and I got a hold, by the end of the day, after 4 attempts, I finally got a hold of the, hello, doing my live stream. No, not at all, not at all. So I got I finally got a hold of the lawyer that was handling Dad's estate. And apparently he had gone in when Dad was pronounced dead. He'd gone into the house and taken all Dad's papers out of his safe because, as he put it, it's a safe neighborhood but a very dangerous town, and he's had trouble with people breaking into houses of people that have died and just doing what they want to do. Hello. Good. So what ended up happening is I was going for amazing and incredible and all that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. All right. Cool. So, make a long story short, when I talked to the lawyer, no. So, the kicker is when I spoke with the lawyer had no idea that me, my sister, or my brother existed because my dad had never told him that he had kids. And that's all the news that's fit to print. And oh yeah, in a couple of weeks we'll find out what. He hadn't had the death certificate at that point, and he was waiting for the death certificate so that he could go legally through my dad's papers and find the will, which he is the one that wrote up. Somebody else wrote it up, and so he's about to go through the will and see if there's, and then I'll be notified if there's anything I need to know about my dad's will. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I hung out on the Cape for another 5 days, 4 days or whatever, and made my way back here a week ago. And I'm still trying to, I just started the grieving mourning process, and which is open-ended. And it's funny, I spent, better part of 40 years not knowing if my dad was alive or dead for long stretches, and finally it's official, he's definitely dead, and now the official grieving can begin, crazy. But yeah, that's been it. Sorry I didn't get any art done today, but there were some people here from Ovation TV that were filming me talk about and paint some stuff earlier. That was fun. So I may be on Ovation TV. Hey, life is good. So we're down to 5%, and we're going to call that it. And you're welcome to check me out on my Instagram thing and my Facebook stuff. And I've done a couple of cartoons, posted a couple of cartoons on there on my YouTube channel and whatnot that I'm kind of proud of. And I'm about to do another one because I had a dream last night about doing this other one. So we'll see how that works out. So, love and light. Thanks for watching, and remember, we love you.